Hello everybody and welcome back. And we have just killed the Minotaur, which is considered one of the great monsters in this module. Now the web here is going to go on for some time, so we're going to light some torches and burn it away so we have access to his body to loot. Obviously we need to wait for it to cool down a bit. Let us see, what does this Minotaur have? Right. He carries a spear +1. A spear can be a thrown weapon, and we have very few magical ranged weapons. We have a hand axe +1, which Carrick has in his belt, and I suppose Sylvia could take this spear +1 and use it as sort of like a walking stick as we go on our wilderness travels. What else have we got here? It says here there's a secret door. The secret door is actually a slab of stone, which takes not less than 3 humans to move it. While I'm sure a dwarf or other parties can move it, it will be noticed by careful checking of the walls. Well, we have a dwarf who can easily spot it. It doesn't say here it can be found with a secret door search, because it says underneath that how it is moved requires a roll of 1 on a 6-sided dice to indicate the searcher has found where it can be grasped. So I believe that is a case that the door itself isn't that obscure, but how you open the door is. Right. Well, we have an elf who's good at searching for doors, and we have a dwarf who's good at mechanisms and constructions. Now, if either of them get a 1 or a 2, then we can open this secret door. And they both get it together. Sylvia finds the catch, and Carrick works out how to use it. Okay, well that was really good. I predicted that, okay, well, we'll probably get a 5 and a 6, and we'll walk away without the treasure. Look, we actually open the door and get the treasure. Luck can indeed be on your side. Right, there's a locked chest. Let's see if Liz can search for traps. 40. What is her find traps? No, she doesn't find any traps on it. Can she open it? No, she fails to open it. Oh well, the chest is too heavy to carry, and it also had a poison needle, so had we opened it, somebody would have had to make a saving throw there. But what else do we find outside of the chest? We find a staff of healing, so we now have 2 of them. I'll keep that for a while, and if it becomes a bit OP, then we will lose it conveniently. It says we have a suit of man-sized, optionally elf-sized plate mail +1. Well, Donard has already got one of those. In fact, we dumped a spare set in the cursed temple. It says optionally elf-sized. Well, that means we could say it's fit Sylvia. She's got chainmail +1, and I'm going to say she prefers that. She prefers the chainmail. It offers her a certain lightness and movement, even though she is a fighter class. I think she considers herself like an archer, or, well, you don't have a ranger class in this game, but you know what I mean. We're going to leave that behind. 1 locked coffer. Right. Let's see, can Liz unpick that lock? And 4. Yes, she does. Very well. Well done. And it contains 3 potions. Gaseous form. We have 2 of those. We got 1 off the priest in the temple. A potion of healing. Yes. And a potion of growth. Well, we haven't seen a potion of growth before. Or have we? Was there one in the Eye of Traldar? No, there was potions of speed. I've completely forgotten we have 2 potions of speed. A potion of growth. This potion causes the user to grow to twice the normal size, temporarily increasing strength and giving the ability to inflict double damage on any successful hit. The user's hit points, however, will not increase. This potion will negate a potion of diminution. Alright, and we have another locked chest. which has, well, let's see if we can pick that lock. Or can Liz? 34. Open locks is 30. God damn it. Nice try, but no cigar. Well, in this case, no gems. Because there was jewellery worth 1,600, 900 and 600. A nice tidy sum there for more XP. Well, we missed out on that. There seems to be about just above 4,000 XP worth of treasure to be had, and well, we're not getting it. What we get is a staff of healing and some potions. Now that the Minotaur is dead, this disorientation spell has lifted, and we are free to leave this cave. Which we do. And if you're wondering why in the last time Malin went around here and wasn't disorientated, it's because the Minotaur was fighting. He's the one who enforces this disorientation spell, and when he was fighting, he couldn't both concentrate on it and fight. So that's why that happened, in case any out there are wanting to know. So we're back outside. And we're here, and we walk down the slope, past this smelly cave which we've been warned against, and we leave. We took on that cave quite early in the morning, and it still is fairly early. So by the time we get into the wilderness here, it would be mid to late afternoon. And there are no wandering monsters, and so we can camp somewhere slightly different in these foothills here. And the last time we camped here, we met a tribe of friendly Neanderthals. Let's see if we meet anything this time. And we don't. And we bed down for the night. Yep, it's the usual uncertain weather. But the sky's clear and the moon comes out. It's Carrick's watch in the middle of the night and the moon is high, and he goes to his backpack and he takes out a well-folded bundle. And he unfolds the cloths, and inside is this beautiful red gem the size of a tennis ball, which has this sort of light inside it and these iridescent rainbows of orange and purple that move over the surface. He's meant to be keeping watch, but he is just entranced by this gem, and as he holds it up to see under the moonlight, sure enough it seems to react to the moonlight. It starts to feel warm, and these iridescent patterns start moving and swirling over its surface, and from inside it there is a very faint glow. Well, it is a truly wondrous thing, and Carrick, instead of keeping watch, spends his turn just admiring it. And he almost forgets to wake up Liz for her turn to keep watch. Well, eventually he does. He bundles the gem up again. He goes back to his bedroll and looks up at the stars and the constellations. And he just spends the rest of the night wondering what type of incredibly beautiful box he would have to make to put it in to do this gem justice. And there he is, lying on his back with a big grin from ear to ear. And the rest of the night creeps on, then eventually it's morning. Well, everybody gets up in the morning, and we head off. Are we met by anything on the road? We aren't, and so we make it back to the keep safely. And, well, it's time to pay up and leave. We've done everything in this area we want to do, so we go to the stable, we pay off any money owed, and we ask the stable hand, can he saddle up Mavis the pony? We go to the traders here and we cash in any gems that we find. We then go to this smithy and equip ourselves with any arrows and bolts that we need. And we go to the bank and we wonder what to do with all this gold that we have deposited in there. And the bank tells us that we don't actually need to take the money out. They ask us where are we going. And Donard turns to the others and says, "Shall we go to the city? Shall we go to Specularum?" And Liz goes, "Yes," because this is what she's been wanting to do since she left Threshold. And the bank manager says to us, "Well, I can give you a letter of credit. We have another branch there. It will cost you 10 gold pieces per letter, which is 1 each. And what you do is you hand over the letter of credit to our bank in Specularum, and, well, you can take your gold from there." That seems like a really good deal. So we decide to withdraw 150 gold each. And then the bank manager and his clerks scribe out the necessary letters and seal them with a wax seal. If you think that idea is far-fetched, that in a pre-technological world you would have checks and such things, these things did exist. In fact, in Babylon, over 3,000 years ago, those sort of cuneiform clay tablets, some of those have been translated, and they are indeed letters of credit, checks. These ideas are very, very old. And we go to the inn to pay off the last of our rent. And at the inn, waiting for us, is the curate from the chapel. If you remember, the curate from the chapel is a very high-ranked person in this whole keep. And he took an interest in the treasure we want sanctified when we went there to cure Donard of his curse, that helm of alignment change. The curate has gone into the other half of the keep to let people know that there are some adventurers here who have done some good. And so the curate is at the inn to tell us that come dinner time, which is soon, that we'd better wash up because we've been invited to the main hall here to meet the castellan of this area. It is quite an honour. What do we know about this castellan? Just says, as usual, it gives you details of what he's carrying and what sort of equipment and jewels he is, should we decide to assassinate him. There's no details on his history, his name, what he looks like, but I'm going to suggest that if you're the castellan of this keep, which is in the back end of nowhere, you are not going to be a fool. You don't choose this job because you've got rich parents and they know somebody who knows somebody. There is nobody to know on the Borderlands. You get this job because you've got a level head. Well, it's all quite exciting as we ask the innkeeper for several large tubs of hot water so we can wash ourselves, take our armour off, and, well, put on some clothes and go through this gatehouse to meet the castellan. It isn't a feast. This is not a celebration that we've saved the whole keep from destruction. This is just a fine dinner with him, the curate, and a couple of other higher ups. The food, even though it is of better quality than the tavern, is still pretty rustic. You're not going to get fine spices and sugars and honeys delivered to this part of the world. Well, maybe rarely. And we get a good chance to talk all about our adventures, and including the connection between that evil priest and the iron ring that were here. And of course there's much tutting and shaking of the heads and things at that one. And the castellan asks us where we're going to next. We are going to Specularum, because remember, from my point of view, the Veiled Society is a module coming up. And he tells us that there is trouble afoot in the world. He's had messages back from... We're here. Around here, there's a fort called Guido's Fort. And a courier has made it through here with some injuries, saying that there's going to be a massive orc raid or hobgoblin raid, they're not quite sure, from a nearby fortress that's going to just take over Guido's Fort. And the Guido's Fort is an important way station between the keep and the Black Eagle barony. He's going to pay us good money to go and have a look, and that will lead us on to the horror on the hill. And that idea, by the way, came from one of the commentators on these videos, Anarayan Alendili, if I have pronounced his name correctly, came off with that idea, and I actually think that's a very good one. That's the conclusion at the end of the dinner. We're going to have an escort, a courier, who's going to reside in Guido's fort and constantly send messages back to the keep on any progress we make. And if we do succeed in uncovering a hobgoblin raid on the fort, and if we manage to defeat it, then the castellan will give another letter of credit to the bank in the keep to forward by courier to Specularum. Well, we're up for that. After we finish our dinner, we go back to the inn and, well, the future is looking bright. We have to get up the next morning and prepare ourselves for the road once again. That is the keep on the Borderlands over, and it was a blast. I loved it. This is considered a classic, and deservedly so. I learnt a lot. There are several modules which call themselves introductory or beginners. The Eye of Traldar was one. I think there's one called the King's Festival, which gives over about a quarter of itself to teaching. And this is called introductory. Did I learn a lot? Yes. I'm gonna leave this very different than I went into it. Largely also thanks to all the comments in the comments section, keeping me in line and suggesting things. Would I play it again differently? Would I play it again for a start? Yes, I think I would. Maybe in a couple of years, would I play it again differently? Oh, most certainly, yes. There were some things which I wasn't sure when I looked at it. How on earth is this going to work? So you have this map and you have dotted around it just some isolated encounters, and your party have to do a hex crawl, well, a grid crawl in this case. And I wondered how that would work playing solo or even in a group. But yet, if you start with this landmark, which was the Lizard Man cave, that's an obvious beginner's thing, it sticks up, and then things find you, like the Black Widow spiders found us, if you camp and roll a certain number. And even in this area here, where we rolled dice randomly to see which direction we go in, you do find these outside encounters. I haven't done them all. There's a famous one up here in the hills, and if you want to play that much this game, you can discover that one. There was one cave I didn't go into. It didn't seem very appealing. It's described as unappealing to go into, and it seemed just as unappealing to play. I said at the beginning that this had no real plot, unlike the Eye of Traldar and many other modules, and I thought that was its strength. I really would like to see more plotless adventures. I think Barrow Maze is another one. I think you get this sense of exploration and wilderness that you probably don't get with a very heavily plotted adventure. This was quite long compared to the Eye of Traldar. Remember, I've only ever played 2 adventures in my entire life. 3 if you count the red box adventures. And it took 22 sessions to get through from episode 23 to this one. 2 of those, the introductory one and this one, are just there to bookend the gameplay in between, but still 20 sessions at half an hour, that is quite a long time. Would I modify the game a second time? Yes, I would. As I said from the get-go, I'm here to explore this game as it was back then, as though I were facing it for the first time. Well, I am doing that. So there's a lot of people who have played this several times, and they have changed it probably every time they play. What would I change? I would certainly scale up the map. This here is 2.3 miles across, 3.6 kilometers. And at a walking speed of 2.3 miles per hour, that's 1 hour. I would scale that by times 10. I would make this the size of a county, at least like 23 miles by 30, and that's 36 kilometers by 50 kilometers. And that way you would feel less contrived explaining why you'd go 100 yards in 1 hour. 1,000 yards, a bit more feasible. And I saw somebody else discussing this, reviewing it, and they came off with the idea that what you do is you take all the different caves in the Caves of Chaos and you split them up and you dot them across the map. So that would encourage you to explore these more open areas and find more. And it also would get away from what seems to be a common complaint, that you have this entire ecosystem of warring tribes all stuck in the same area. Right. And also it would change this well-worn path. It might look like this path, this valley, was worn through erosion and weathering, but I think it's been worn by the millions of feet of adventurers walking there, walking back, and so forth. It will take many adventure days to clear these caves, and going back to the keep is necessary. So yes, it did become a bit back and forth. So that is the other thing I would do. I would definitely spread the caves throughout the whole map. And the other thing I would change is I would also distribute the treasure. You're meant to go in at level 1 and come out at level 3. And the vast majority of that treasure was a hoard dumped at the end in that evil temple. I think I would spread the XP a bit more evenly, so you went into the evil temple at level 3 to experience a sort of higher level of adventure, rather than going in at level 2 and finding so much cash that you leave level 3. Now where to next? So that is that. We have to say farewell to the keep, but of course our party have to say farewell to everybody in the keep. And where to next? Well, in my original plan, I had hoped to do the Veiled Society, and I had hoped to put it in between these two, the Horror on the Hill, because these two are quite similar, and I even did wonder, have I played enough? Should I even play this? I did buy it, as I said, months ago for nostalgia's sake. I did own this way back in 1983 and never played it. So I'm glad that people in the comments section said yes, play it, so I will do. And as the plot has worked out, on our way to Specularum, we are given this quest by the castellan of the keep to check out trouble at Guido's fort. So it's Horror on the Hill next. But now it is time to say farewell. And here we are in the tavern to say farewell. It looks like it's quite busy at breakfast time. It's got lots of new faces here as well. We have to say goodbye to our retainers. We're going to say goodbye to Stuart, the sort of wily thief who did quite well out of us. We say goodbye to Coram the dwarf, and Carrick has a lot to say to him, and this wise dwarf has a lot to say back. So Carrick goes, aye, and Coram goes, aye, and well, what do you make of that? I think they understand each other. We've got Big Chris here with his 18 strength and his two-handed sword, who saw us through a couple of caves. And we have Angel here, the woodsman's son, sort of happy-go-lucky guy with his battle axe, which cleaved many a head. And of course, everybody gets up from their seats and there's plenty of hugs and back slaps and good luck. These guys are going to stay on. They've found that being a retainer is a very lucrative way to make money. Malin goes up to this table here, and it's got 4 halflings, and they have their backpacks and their saucepans and their walking sticks, and Malin says hi. He's got this sort of amiable skill of just going up to people, and he asks, are you looking for adventure? And they say, yes, we are. And he says, does your party, have you got a name for yourselves? And they say, yes, we're the Furry Foot Foursome. Okay, that's quite cute, but Malin's still perplexed that we haven't given ourselves a name. Now, our table here, our usual table has been taken, and it's got, well, another party of adventurers here, and we're going to pass some time just having a chat with these guys. They're of mixed ages, mixed skills. There's a fighter, there's a thief, there's a mage, there's a cleric, there's an elf. Where have we seen this before? We're going to talk about what we've been through, what we would do differently next time. they're looking to us for advice. And I hope that this party of adventurers is you. Those of you watching who think you might want to play this, I would thoroughly recommend it. So yes, maybe that's you sitting at this table. And this is Catty with the big red hair, and we spoke to her just briefly at Ben's funeral. Sylvia says thank you for showing up for that. He would have been glad you remembered. Catty gives Sylvia a slightly puzzled, bemused look, and she laughs slightly and says, "Me forget Ben? Love, I'm reminded of Ben every day." And she jerks her thumb over at the barman, her son, and she says, "You never saw it, did you?" And sure enough, we glance over at the barman, and yep, once it's pointed out to you, you can see it. We've said our goodbyes to the tavern with all its music and smell of adventurers, and we notice that Malin is missing, and everybody asks, "Oh Liz, where's that brother of yours?" They can't find Malin, but they know where he will be. It's a cold, bright morning, and the wind blows on the hills. Indeed, you can see the wind passing over the forest as waves. Malin stands in the graveyard above the keep. He sees the others coming up the hill. His shoulders slump. "You think I'm stupid," he sighs. "No," says Liz. "We came to say goodbye to him too. If it wasn't for Ben, then none of us would be here. He started it." "True," says Donard. "And it's not like he's going anywhere," he adds, tactless as usual. "What he means," says Carrick, "is that you're a young man. You have many years ahead to come back here again." "I suppose so," says Malin. "And all of this," he waves his hand over Ben's grave, "will be lost under grass and moss. Probably won't be able to find it." "He did leave you his house," Liz reminds him. "You'll not forget him." "I don't understand that bit," says Malin. "Why me?" "Well, he did like his grand gestures," says Donard. "What he means," says Sylvia, translating Donard's low charisma into something less blunt. "He liked looking out for people. He didn't have a son of his own." "Well, not that he knew of," says Donard. "If he had," Sylvia continues, "he would have wanted him to be like you. You'll make him proud." Malin takes one last look over the hills and the forest. Liz offers him an elbow and he puts his arm through hers, and they all walk back to the keep. And if any of my party do survive, then Malin's prediction will come true. One of them will return here years later. They will walk into the tavern and say that it hasn't changed in years, and the sounds and smells will bring back all the memories of these adventures. They will tell their new friends that they've been here before. And Ben will just be, "One of the guys I was travelling with died here." And if they have a free afternoon, they might go to the graveyard out of curiosity. And they will return and say to their friends with a shrug, "No luck, couldn't find it. It's all overgrown with grass and moss."